What's going on, rock stars? Welcome to the 1% Life Show. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer, Joanie Dillon. If you are joining us for the first time live on Facebook, drop a 1. If you are a return listener, drop a 2. We love to know who you are. And if you're listening to us on one of our podcasting platforms, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all of the different channels and stations and platforms there are, welcome in to the show. So today we're talking about when to stop thinking and start acting. When to stop thinking about it. Let me say that again. When to stop thinking about it and to start acting on it. And here's the thing. This is a problem for a lot of people out there. And if it's not a problem for you, it may just be a problem for one of your clients. And hearing about how to overcome this issue and how it can really create a cost on your life, which we'll talk about in just a moment, is definitely something worth paying attention to. So rock stars, as you come in, make sure you share this out with your tribe, tag somebody who is an overthinker, because man, will they thank you for it. And I'm going to give you a couple strategies as well that one of my clients is using to help her change her life so much. And we'll get into that in just a moment. All right, Rockstar. So today, again, when to stop thinking about it and start acting on it. So if you are somebody who tends to think stuff over a lot, you tend to overthink, you may have even been called an overthinker, then today's episode is for you. Perhaps you're somebody who does a lot of research. Before you make a decision, you tend to go out there, you collect all the data, and then you go and look for more data and do more research. And it tends to be a pattern for you. And you may, Rockstar, even pride yourself on this, strategy or the skill set that you have. And if so, well, this episode's for you. And Rockstar, maybe you notice that your clients, if you have clients, they tend to overthink things a lot. Like, yeah, well, thanks for all the information, but we've got to think about it, right? I've got to go out and do the research. It's not the right time. I don't have enough research. I don't have enough, proof or evidence that you're the person that we need to do business with or the company. And they need to go out and do their research and really maybe just think about it. If that's the case, man, today's episode is for you. And so the reality is we all have overthinkers in our life, do we not? Maybe it's somebody that you're with, maybe it's a friend of yours, maybe it's you or one of your clients. And it can really lead to, what is it they say? Analysis paralysis, right? The more we analyze something, the more we actually feel in our bodies this paralysis, this lack of forward motion. So I want to talk to you about, let me give you an example, first of all, of somebody who tends to make big decisions, like billion-dollar decisions, with a fraction of the info. And as I lead into that story, I want you to think about how much information do you personally need in order to make a decision, right? And these decisions can be anything from, how much time or research you need to, look into travel, even like something so simple as that. I can be guilty of that sometimes. And, oh, by the way, can I just divert for just a half second and tell you about something I'm really excited about, which is an upcoming trip. I just booked it today. It's kind of fun when you're in the times of COVID and you are booking vacations, right? Like maybe if you're booking a vacation or if you've already booked one, can you just let me know? Because I'd like to know where all you're going and where's open to go. So I just booked a flight over to Atlanta for Sunday, I believe it is. This Sunday, I'm going to go fly first class. Got to get away from, the fewer the people, the better. I'm over to Atlanta. I'll be all geared up. And then I'm going to go hop in after a few days, get in a motor coach with my partner, and we're going to drive across the country. How crazy is that? Across the country during Corona. Like there's actually a rhyme in there maybe somewhere. And so that's kind of got me feeling a little excited, as well as a little, I like to use the word excitement over anxiety. But yeah, there's a lot of overthinking that started to happen that's led me to this podcast episode for you. So definitely connect with me on Instagram if you haven't already, because you'll be able to watch my travels across the country. We're going to go up through Missouri. I don't know. My partner's planning the entire trip, and then we'll end up in Montana for a few days, checking it out over there, and in Missoula, and this other cute town, which I'm totally blanking on, and then back over to Seattle. So that's kind of fun. Anyways, I'm curious to know what trips you have coming up, because interestingly, my sister also just booked a trip. So I'm feeling like there's trip booking in the air, and people are starting to think about how can we get out there and create new experiences in our life. So I digress completely. It was just something that I wanted to share because, why not? It's my show. I think I can. So Rockstar, here's what happens. When we're out there making a decision, whether it's on travel, whether it's on taking a new job, whether it's on even as something like, do I want to commit to a relationship or an agreement within my partnership, my relationship, right? Just committing to something, agreeing to something, making a decision, and I'm speaking in generalities right now, we tend to want to have 100% of the information before we make a decision, right? Like 100%. We need to make sure that we have everything that we possibly could have in order to make a decision. And the reality is that, well, do we ever have 100% of the information? No, there's uncertainty with anything, right? With any decision, there pretty much comes some risk. You don't know how it's really going to pan out. You don't know. So you can make a calculated decision. And the reality is that you will never have 100% of the information. And so going through this process of overly looping the strategy, we call it a strategy, of attaining all the information we need, right? More research, more due diligence, asking, I don't have enough yet to make this decision. It's simply prolonging you taking action. And my question to you is, what if you could make a decision and take action? That's the key, because your life won't move in any direction if you're not taking action, right? And Tony Robbins actually says, it is in our moments of decision that our destiny is shaped. What a powerful statement. It's in our moment of decision, like actually coming to a decision, that our destiny is shaped. And the question becomes, what if you could have 90% of the information before you made a decision? Or what if you could have 80% of the information? What if you could even have less? What percentage of information could you actually have before you booked the trip, before you took the job, before you entered into the relationship or the partnership, before you agreed to do business with somebody, before you agreed to purchase something of a major, substantial size and investment? What if you had as little as 60%, or even what if you only had 40% of the information you needed? Would you trust yourself, or could you begin to trust yourself in just making a decision in that moment? So Jeff Bezos, everybody knows who he is. He has a very interesting strategy around making decisions. And if you think about somebody who's making decisions for I don't even know how much Amazon is valued at, right? But there's often probably billion-dollar decisions out there being made by Jeff Bezos, right? When he's making decisions. And so one of the things that he says is that most decisions should probably be made with somewhere around 70% of the information that you wish you had. And if you wait for 90%, in most cases, you're probably being slow. And that's, and then here's the other part of what he says. He says, if you're good at course correcting, being wrong may be less costly than you think. Course correcting, meaning you start taking action and then you course correct. Oh, that's not going our way. So now we can pivot. We course correct along the way. Whereas being slow, not making decisions, prolonging decisions, it's going to be really expensive. And I think that's a powerful mindset to adopt, is what if I could just simply come to a decision and begin to act with having a smaller percentage of information, and kind of take it on as a a challenge as a challenge. So one of my clients today shared something pretty cool. So shout out to Joe, because she shared, we were on a call last week, and she shared how kind of, she didn't realize she was sharing this, but how difficult it can be for her to actually make a decision. And so as she was talking about these courses and these certifications that she wanted to do in order to create her 1% life, it started to come out through conversation, right? We listen through language and hear what people are saying because it reveals a lot by their words and their actions and their behaviors, etc. The spoken words as well as the unspoken language that's there. But one of the things that came out was that there was, I said, how would you know when you have enough information to just simply act and to simply do? And it was like, oh, that's a good question. How long have you been researching? I think it was like months or years. So we can fall into these loops, these habits of this looping habit of continuing to overthink something. Maybe you can relate to this yourself. And aloha guys. Sorry, we're getting some amazing Hawaiians, some of my favorite Hawaiians and Australians on the call. So hello guys. And that is really paralyzing because you stop taking action. When we think that we can, only make right or wrong action, well, then we're waiting for all the information to make the right action. Wouldn't you agree? So what if making the wrong decision is what you needed to do in order to find the right decision? What if making the wrong decision is exactly what needed to happen in order for you to find the right decision? Would that give you permission to just act? Like knowing that, oh, well, what if I just do this thing? If it doesn't work out, we course correct and pivot, and then we take some swift action to do the next thing. And maybe that's the right decision, right? That's the right decision. But you'd never know that if you didn't just get out of this loop, right, and act. And so one of the things that Joe decided on our call was, I said, okay, so what would you need to see or say to yourself? Like we start talking about this internal self-talk first, right? And self-talk is a really powerful thing, because what happens with self-talk is that we can either talk ourselves into something or we can really quickly talk ourselves out of something. Maybe you agree. And the reality is that self-talk is either empowering us at any given moment in time or it's disempowering us. And when you can learn to manage your self-talk and even have pre-arranged self-talk that supports you, when you know that you tend to be an overthinker, when you know you tend to be an overanalyzer, when you know you have certain behaviors of maybe not taking action on something, what if you could be prepared with that self-talk, that internal self-talk, that dialogue that happens in your mind? So the moment that you catch yourself and become aware, be the observer of you behaving in a certain way, that procrastinating behavior, right? How many of us procrastinate on things that we simply do not want to do, right? When we're going to do it, or we have to do it at some point, but we don't want to do it. So the behavior doesn't happen as easily, and it can get procrastinated. Procrastination can go on for years and years and years, right? Where you don't do the thing, and you got to break the loop of that. So when you observe that you are in the pattern, let's just talk about overthinking, because procrastination can also be it is a form of overthinking. That you are overthinking a decision. What if you could tell yourself something in that moment, a really empowering statement for you? And so what we decided with Joe was that her statement was just awesome. It totally was a pattern interrupt. And she's just a sweet lady. She's just awesome, super sweet. And it was like this F-bomb just got dropped out of nowhere. And it kind of like threw me off. And I was like, wow, that was awesome. I love it. So what she said was, yeah, I do have something I could say. What I can say is, F it, just act. F it, just act. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? The moment that she catches herself going to enter into that behavior of overthinking, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this because, or I have to overthink my homework for her degree that she's getting, and overthinking the process, and overthinking signing up for which course, and how does she know she has enough information to make the decision on which certification she'll be able to go out and help change the world and transform people at a big level. It's like, no. F it, just act. And so one of the things she said today was that, oh my God, applying this to my life every single day has been so, like, I don't remember the words that she used, but like, it's life-changing for her. And today she literally said, I was overthinking my homework for my degree, whether it was perfect, good enough, right? This whole good enough thing comes, oh, it's not good enough. So we keep overthinking it. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And so that's really important to know, that how you're doing one thing is how you're doing everything in your life. It goes across the board. And so if you can begin to nip the overthinking in the bud, what happens is that you begin to do that in every different area of your life, not just your career, not just your relationships, not just contracts and agreements that you make, not just, whatever it is, the area that you think you're doing it, you're probably doing it across the board in all these different areas. So Rockstar. Yeah, total pattern interrupt, Caitlin. It was an awesome, she was on the call. It was such a pattern interrupt. So as I just got pattern interrupted by looking at that, what is it that you can say to yourself, that internal self-talk, that internal dialogue that just pattern interrupts you, that gets you to act, right? Because that's such a powerful thing to be able to do in the moment, is to say, oh, and maybe it's not F it, just act for you. Maybe it's stop that, stop that stuff. Just do it. Do it. Just, let's go. Maybe it's right now, 2 minutes, let's go, right? Because once we just get into action, that's the key. It's just getting those tennis shoes on, and then you're going to the gym, right? It's just getting your, whatever the thing is that you're procrastinating on or not doing, getting the information on paper and going, okay, I have enough information here. Now make a decision. I had to do that today as well. I had to make a decision. I've been pushing off this trip across the country and talking about. I'm literally was supposed to leave in 2 days. And finally I'm like, I got to make a decision. Am I going? Am I not going? And so I made a decision on when one of our programs is going to be launching. And then literally in my mind, I was like, okay, I have enough information now. And before I start overthinking, because I can tend to do that as well, just act, right? And so I went in, and my partner helped me, like, let's book it right now. Let's book it. And sometimes it's nice having a partner or somebody, a partner in crime, to help you just do it. And then I didn't have to think of all the millions of excuses and reasons why I couldn't just take a vacation right now or take a trip across the country, because the truth of the matter is I can work from anywhere in the world. I'll be broadcasting to y'all from, some luxury motor coach in who knows where, Missouri or Montana or wherever we'll be every single day. So it's kind of fun when we can get out of our own heads and start creating a new story and give ourselves empowering self-talk. So Rockstar, I wanted to leave you with that, that reframe, that strategy, that pattern interrupt of internal self-talk that you can choose to take on yourself. So decide right now, what's the thing that you tend to do when you overthink things, right? Like, oh, I tend to overthink maybe this area of my life. Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And decide right now. In fact, I would love to see it in the comments for those of you listening live. Share it in the thread. What are your new words to just act, to just do it, to stop thinking? And for some of you who are highly visual, maybe you see like a red stop sign in your mind first. The moment you start going into that behavior, you see a stop sign or a caution sign, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then it's like the internal self-talk kicks in. And I want you to share that with us in the comments below. Tag somebody who's an overthinker, Rockstar, because man, there are way too many overthinkers out there who are not taking action and are sitting, making excuses, sitting there in their self-talk that's not empowering them, that's taking them backwards and not helping them go forwards to create their 1% life. If this is you, I hope you got value from this. If not, share it with somebody who help your clients to understand this too, right? If your clients aren't making decisions, well, then what you need to help them to understand is, how is this serving you? What is the cost? Ooh, this was one thing I meant to go into. What is the cost on not making a decision in your life? What is it costing you to continue to overthink? What have you not done that now it's 5 years later? What have you not done that now it's 10 years later, 20 years later, that you have still been that you're still thinking about doing? And when is enough enough? And what if by simply changing that internal self-dialogue, that self-talk, that you could pattern interrupt it, right? Nip it in the bud. Stop the strategy from moving forward and looping, and literally go into action. So there's a cost to you in your life by not taking action. There's a cost to you for overthinking. There's a cost to your clients to continue to think about the purchase that they know they should be making, that they're not making for months and years of their life. What is that cost to them? What is that extrinsic cost, meaning the cost dollar-wise? What's the cost in time? Are they getting older? Are they losing time to actually benefit from this? If they know they're going to do this, why would they want to waste any more time? I think with this whole Corona thing, we've all realized how precious time is. Wouldn't you agree? Time's a precious commodity. And when we simply put time out on the someday, what happens is that, someday never comes. So at some point, you've got to stop the overlooping of the thoughts. You got to stop the strategy, and you can talk them through this. Like, how often does this happen to you where you really have to think something through and through, right? And how do you know when you've got enough information? What are you looking for? 100% of the information? What if you could make this? How much percentage of information do you have now? What if you could actually, trust yourself enough to know that you're making a decision with all the information that you have, all the information you're ever going to have, and just make the decision now? Give the Jeff Bezos example of how Jeff Bezos makes billion-dollar decisions having only 70% of the information that he wish he had. How powerful could that be to get somebody out of analysis paralysis and into momentum and into action? So Rockstar, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the 1% Life. If you did, if you have enjoyed it, please take a screenshot of this, tag me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. Let me know what you liked, loved, or want to hear more of. And 2, tag somebody and share this out who is an overthinker and who needs to hear about how to stop overthinking right now, because it may just even improve their life a little bit and perhaps even yours. All right, Rockstar, to your unstoppable success, get out there and change some lives today. They certainly deserve it, and so do you. Peace. Have a beautiful one. Bye.